So normally when I'm doing my sales trainings, I usually want to hear from the audience what their expectations are, so that at the end of the training, would want to evaluate and see if I've managed to meet their expectations. So I was training this other large corporation last week, and then I asked them, what are your expectations? And one of the guys raised his hands and said that he wanted to learn how to convince the prospect to buy their product. Then I was like, here we go again. This is one more victim of the lies that people have been taught about sales. People have been given misconceptions about sales, and this is one of them, that you have to convince your prospects to buy your product. You don't do that. So I had to tell him and say, no, I don't teach you to convince people. Because the moment you see yourself convincing people to buy, it means you are bordering on manipulation. And I'm not here to teach anybody to manipulate. So if you are salespeople and you are good at convincing people, then that means you are manipulating people. What should you do? You should sell to them. Anyway, maybe let me give you the definition of manipulation and selling. Manipulation is when you urge somebody to make a decision that is good for you. Whereas when you are selling, you are encouraging somebody to make a buying decision that is good for them. You see the difference? So when you are manipulating, it's all about you. When you are selling, it's all about the prospect or the client. So I told them, I don't do that. So what should you do? You should be in a position to sell a product in such a way that the prospect convinces themselves to buy your product. And you as the salesperson is just there to affirm that decision. You are there to encourage them to make the buying decision, which they already have made, because they have to convince themselves to buy. And then you just help them make the buying decision. Make sense? And the second lie or misconception that I want to share with you now, once you master it and you liberate yourself of that lie, it's going to catapult you to some exponential levels in your sales journey. Whether you want to start being in sales or you've already been in sales, you realize that by understanding and liberating yourself of this lie, you are going to go places. So the lie is discounts close deals. Have you ever seen most of the times when people don't buy, you think they are not buying because I didn't give them a discount, or if I give them a discount, they are going to buy. Then you realize after giving discounts, still they don't buy. The decision to buy is the decision of the prospect. And they get into that decision as a result of the way that would have sold to them. So if you don't do a good job selling, don't expect the discount to do the selling for you. That's why you see many times a lot of people, especially those who sell in the streets, they will tell you that this thing is costing $10. And you say, I don't have $10. And then they make hasty to say, okay, $9, $8, $5, $4. They can go as low as $2. Then you end up wondering, oh, so if they want to sell this thing for me for $2, which was costing $10, how much did they buy it for? They believe that discounts are what closes deals. Yourself, you should not be worried about discounts. Be concerned about helping the client convince themselves of the goodness of your product or your service. Once something is seen to be valuable, no one worries about price. How many people buy Rolex watches? How much does a Rolex watch cost? Have you ever seen someone at a Rolls-Royce dealership trying to negotiate price? No, it's going for 1.5 million. I only have 1.3. Can you give me a discount? You don't find that. Why? Because they understand that it's not the discounts that close deals. It's the desire for someone to own what you are selling that enables them to buy. And the third misconception, if you liberate yourself from this one, in all my trainings, that's the first aspect that I want to try and destroy in people's minds. What is it? The more you talk, the more you sell. They say, the way you are gifted in talking, the way you've got the gift of the gab, man, you can crush it in sales. What if I tell you the exact opposite? The more you talk, the less you sell. You know why? Because when you say it, the client doesn't believe you. When you say your product is the best one in the market, the client doesn't believe you. When you say your product is what the prospect specifically needs, the prospect won't believe you. But if the prospect says it, then they'll believe themselves. That's why I initially said you need to learn how to get the client to convince themselves. Because when the client says it themselves, they are going to believe it. But when you say it, they don't believe it. The more you talk, the less you sell, the less you close deals. So you should understand that sales has nothing to do with you being talkative. It has everything to do with you being a good listener. Listen to what the prospect says. So the less you talk, The more the prospect talks, the more you are going to close deals. The more you talk, the less you sell. Selling has nothing to do with your talking. It actually has to do with your listening. Oh, and the fourth one. The fourth one is where a lot of people miss it. You know, objections. What should I do with objections? If prospects would only not come with objections. Oh, what will I do with objections? Objections. If prospects would only not come up with objections, I would sell more. There's a misconception which says you should answer all objections. You should be equipped, you should be loaded with answers to objections. That's a misconception. That's a lie in sales. You don't need to answer all objections. Myself, I don't even answer any objection when the client objects. When they object, I just need to understand from them, where is the source of the objection? Why are they objecting? Where is the source? What is the reason? What is the real objection? Because most of the times you realize that when the prospect gives you an objection, it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's not exactly what the objection is all about. So when the prospect raises an objection, I don't answer to the objection. I want to understand what is the cause of the objection. And as they explain the cause of the objection, I keep asking them until we get to the bottom of the objection. And then I offer them a solution that can address the objection, but I don't answer the objection. Then the last one, number 5, is the reason why a lot of companies are not meeting their sales targets. What is number 5? Number 5 lie says products sell themselves. The better your product is, the more it's going to sell itself. There is nothing like that. Products don't sell themselves. Products need salespeople to sell them. Why is that so? Because the prospect does not understand the importance of your product. I remember many times we would go to shop with my wife and we would see something that we want to buy and we would decide to buy it. But somewhere, somehow, we would talk ourselves out of buying that. Or maybe we procrastinate the buying decision and say, okay, we'll come back, we'll buy it later. And then after we have gone, we regret not having bought that item. But whose fault is that? It's the salesperson's fault. Maybe there was no salesperson to assist us, or the salesperson was not good at doing a good job to encourage us to make the buying decision that we have already made. So when you've got a great product, when you've got a great service, don't sit down on your laurels and wait for people to come and buy. Yeah, so products don't sell themselves. They need salespeople who understand value creation. You create value and then show the client the value that is in it. And the client will convince themselves to buy, and you help them in the buying decision. I hope this helps. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please, I encourage you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications so that every time we upload these educational videos, you will be notified.